Welcome to Simple Software Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to show you a dynamic formula that will help ensure that names are displayed properly based on some rules. Now, what we're doing in this scenario is a few things here. So, the purpose of this, I guess, is to join names based on different rules. So we'll just take a look at the data here. So we have first name, last name of person 1, and then first name, last name of person 2. And what we want to do is join these names based on different rules. So just looking over here at the purpose. So rule 1 is if person 1 and 2 both exist, and they both have the same last name, let's join their names together and use the same last name. This is just a lot easier than trying to do all of this manually. That may not be an option for you. And then scenario number 2. Person 1 exists, person 2 exists, but they have different last names. So what we want the formula to do is recognize that and join their full names and just use their own first and last names. They don't need to use the same last name because they don't share the same last name. And then we have situations where we just have one name. So we just want to join that one name here. And this formula I'm going to walk you through in this tutorial is going to do all of that for you. It'll add the spaces, it'll check and see, do the names exist? Do the last names match? If yes, let's join it. If not, let's keep them separate. So I've got the formula on the screen here. It's also in the description of this video, so you can just grab it from there, make any tweaks that you want. But starting out with the layout of this spreadsheet, we want to start by having person number 1 first name, person number 1 last name, and then person number 2 first name, and person number 2 last name. And then in column E here, this is where we're going to have their merged name or names for potentially printing out address labels or whatever you want to do with this. And then the formula will go right here. And just keep in mind that if you have your spreadsheet laid out a little differently than mine, you're going to have to tweak some of these letters and numbers just to make sure that it aligns with yours. But I'm going to go through step by step of this this formula here because it looks a bit intimidating even to me. I've used Excel for a long time, but there's a lot going on here, so just wanted to give a little breakdown of why we're doing what we're doing. So starting with the if condition. So this if statement here, this is going to check and see whether both names, the names for both people exist, and if so, do the last names match? So if it's true, then the first names will be joined with and they will also use the shared last name. If this turns out to be false, then the names are going to be combined separately, as in example 2 here. And then this next part here, the and, what this does, so this first part here, this ensures that person 2 has a first name. So if they don't have a first name, then it's going to just skip down to this last rule. And then the D2 here, this ensures that person 2 has a last name as well. And then this last part of the formula, the B2 equals D2, just takes a look at last name 2 and last name 1 to see if it matches. If they do match, then we're going to use the same last name. If they don't, we're going to use their own individual names. So now here is where we tell it how to join the names. So something I want to point out is when you use a function like TEXTJOIN, and in this example we want to do Brian and Becky, but we want to make sure there's a space there, so just make sure that when you are doing this you include that space on either side of and here. So we want Brian space and space Becky. That's what that's for there. So this is for when the last names match, the value will is true. So what this will do here, the TEXTJOIN, is going to join the first names. So it'll say Brian space and Becky, so it's going to join them to have that result. And then this last part here looks a little funky, but what that means, it just simply uses the shared last name. So that's just saying, you know, if those two last names exist, if they're the same, then use the same last name for the people. Now this last section down here, the text join, so that's when they don't share the same last name. So either they have different last names or person number 2 doesn't exist. So what we're looking at here is when this is true, what we're going to do is we're going to join the first and last name of the person, Clarice Thompson here. And then right here, this will join the first and last name of person number 2. So right here, Shayna Simpson, because she's a person 2 with a different last name than person 1. And now to the end, what we're going to do here, or what this function does, is this looks and determines, are there 2 people? If so, then let's join their names with and include both of their full names. We're not using the same last name because they don't share the same last name. If there isn't a person number 2, it's only going to return that person's first and last name. So this is a really handy way of kind of using a somewhat complex formula to join people's names in different scenarios here. And so you'll take the formula here, paste it in here, and then drag it down, and then that way it's going to be true for every name you add here. So if we add a new name here, so let's just say James Joseph and Sabrina Jacobson, I guess. So as you can see while I was typing, this updates as I'm typing to see, do the rules match. So now if I change her last name to Smith, oh sorry, we'll change it to the same as the first name here. So if I change it to the same last name, it now adjusts to use the same last name for both of these people. So kind of a complex concept, but really handy, and hopefully this is going to be a huge time saver for you, because it's there's a lot to do here. There are different ways of doing it. You could sort the data. I don't know, there are ways that you could more manually do it, but why do it manually when you can just use a nice formula? So I hope this tutorial was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more helpful tutorials. Drop me a comment if you have any questions or comments, ideas. This actually came from a comment. This was inspired by a comment I got on another video. So I thought, hey, this could be a real cool thing to learn how to do and show people how to do. So I do greatly value your feedback. And have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in.